Is it a coincidence that maybe she stopped the Accutane and she started on these natural products? You can make the argument either way. This is one of these things where it's like, if you really think about what you're doing, it doesn't really make sense.
Okay, so we're gonna take a complete 180 from Brian Johnson and look at Bella Thorne. She was a Disney star and she performed in like some of my favorite shows, like Shake It Up. But she's been pretty controversial since. So this is her morning routine. Instead of like a sciencey getting studied by everyone, she's all natural. So feel free to pause and talk about what she's doing at any point.
My skincare routine consists of basically one-ish thing as of right now. And then when I'm feeling fun and funky and I need to rehydrate my face, I do a little bit extra, which is kind of just making a mask. And sometimes I do this mask and a cherry one, sometimes I do avocado or whatever. And my skin type is very oily underneath and dry on top, so I have to be constantly exfoliating these layers because then I get all the amelia bumps underneath that are dry and are trying to come out, but they can't because I have this 2 layers of super dry skin on top. So that's why my skin doesn't actually look oily, but it is. I struggled with acne for a very, very long time, cystic acne, and I was on Accutane for like 2 years. Nothing really worked for me. All her stuff is all natural, which of course I love. I brush my teeth with coconut oil and things like that, so I stick to all natural products. So I think so many times we think that the chemicals will work because it says it works and blah blah blah, and you know, it does work for a short amount of time, but then what about if you stop using that product? Is your skin reliant on that product? Do you become reliant on it? And I think that's one thing that chemicals will really never fix.
Is that true?
Yeah, so first of all, she's very pretty as it is, right? So one thing that she has youth on her side, right? She's still young and vibrant. Skin in general, again, in terms of when we look at the chronological age of skin, as we get older, we lose collagen, right? And what happens? Then you get wrinkles, and you get all of these imperfections, and you get all the side effects from all the sun that you had when you were younger, right? So again, she's still like in her relative youth, right, in terms of how she looks. But in terms of the comment that she made about, using conventional products versus all natural products, you can make the argument either way. You do what works for you, right? You can make the same argument that says, well, if you're so dependent on these natural products, these natural things that are supposed to have these effects, what happens when you stop using them? Probably a similar reaction to if you're using something conventional, right? So I wouldn't say that I argue for or against her comment, but again, you could go either way on that argument.
Are you able to make a comment about like the Accutane not working for her? I don't know if that's more of like dermatology.
Yeah, so again, I'm not a dermatologist, but Accutane typically works well in a lot of patients. Just like anything else out there, does it work on everyone? No, it doesn't. So she may be very honest in saying that she was on Accutane. It didn't work for her, right? But there could have been other things going on in terms of, hormones, different stressors, her routine, right? So is it a coincidence that maybe she stopped the Accutane and she started on these natural products? Could be coincidence, but if she says it worked for her, I wouldn't hold it against her.
For us, this is the lemon and sugar olive oil mix. It actually takes away the indents, which you can cover redness with makeup, right? But you'll never be able to cover texture, and that's something that you're always going to be battling yourself on, and so that's why I really like this. It smells delicious. It's definitely scrubbing and cleaning. It's kind of working these pores in this circular motion is gonna help me activate the skin to become alive again, in a sense. I used to have this makeup artist right before she would put products on my face, wants to sit into my skin. She slapped my face really hard, and it's supposed to kind of wake everything up. A harsher version of it would be like if you're gonna do microneedling, you do microneedling because you want to damage the skin so that the skin is like, oh no, hold on. I need to rework myself. I need to fill this back up. I need to heal. And so basically the scrub does that, but in the lightest way because it's not breaking anything on my face. And it is good to get under the eyes. Most of the time when you wash your face, you kind of forget.
Yeah, so what is she talking about? She's talking about like texture, imperfections in her skin, but this thing of, what was it, honey and sugar,
Olive oil,
right? What is she doing? She's using an all natural exfoliator, right? So there are, you know, hundreds of thousands of different types of exfoliation techniques. This particular one works well for her, right? Because again, it's a little gritty, right? There's some texture to it. What is she doing? She's just basically kind of, it's almost like a exfoliator is almost like a liquid version of sandpaper, right? And what's the purpose behind it? It's to remove like the outermost layers of your skin to get rid of that, you know, dead skin, right? And over time, yes, you're gonna have a better texture, and your skin's just gonna feel a lot smoother, right? So that's pretty much what she's doing.
Was she correct in her comment about how slapping your face is similar or like a more tame version of microneedling?
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as saying slapping your face is a more tame version of microneedling, and I don't know if I'm taking that out of context, but microneedling itself it's a mechanical disruption of the skin. You're actually going much deeper, right? So you're stimulating to a higher extent. And you also have to realize too, not only is microneedling creating collagen or stimulating collagen by itself, but you're creating the microchannels. So if you're using some type of serum, like a growth factor based serum or an exosome based serum, you're relying on these other goodies to basically penetrate the outer layers of the skin and get deeper down to help stimulate, so kind of renew within. This whole thing about exfoliation is like renewing from out, but it's not going to get to the underlying, you know, underneath problems.
Under your eye, you go like here and then you stop. But this is really sensitive skin right here. So many wrinkles and light pigmentation and stuff comes right there from sun and depending on your skin type in general. If I'm wearing heavy makeup on set, usually I'll use an oil first, a coconut oil.
She has two watches on.
Oil to get it all
she has two watches on.
Yeah.
Just to really get in there. I'm gonna wash. The only thing that I do that's not all natural would be microneedling. I do that sometimes to get rid of some of these scars that are so bad on this side, because on camera, on screen, I do all my own makeup on everything I work on. And my next step would be us making this mask together. Okay, so I put some a little thing of coconut oil in there. I'm gonna pour some honey. Coconut oil is antibacterial. Honey is anti-inflammatory. And cherries are also anti-inflammatory and antioxidants. So either way, on all three of these products, you're pretty much okay, no matter if you put too much honey or too much coconut oil. But you want to pay attention to the product, and it's going to sound a little cheesy, but listen to the product. And if you're mixing it and it's not a good consistency, then you know you have to add a bit more oil or maybe a bit more of the tacky honey, or, you know, just depends. I'm just mixing it up, trying to get a consistency I like. I'm just going to take a smudge like this. It looks gross. I'm gonna do it in the sink because it's red.
If I made that concoction, would you put it on your skin?
No, I wouldn't. You're just gonna create a mess, right? I mean, the cherries itself, I mean, they're gonna stain, but if you get down to kind of what she's talking about, you know, honey being anti-inflammatory and cherries being anti-inflammatory too, that's typically thought of like if we were eating it, right? If you eat enough of this stuff, you're gonna get an anti-inflammatory effect. But especially when you mix it in with the coconut oil, and I don't know if she's mixing it with the coconut oil, I mean, the coconut oil is gonna kind of create a barrier, right? So you're almost mixing in a concoctive barrier. So how much of that is actually gonna absorb to have any anti-inflammatory effect? Probably very, very little, if any at all. So I think this is one of these things where it's like, if you really think about what you're doing, it doesn't really make sense.
You'd think a mask like this would feel kind of thick, But if you touch my face right now, you'll feel it's really thin.
But doing something like this, probably like the thought of doing it and the process of doing it, it probably feels good. It probably smells good as well, right? So I wouldn't hold it past that. But in terms of what is it really doing kind of on a cellular level to improve the quality of your overall skin, that remains to be kind of in question.
So eat it, not put it on your face.
Sure.
I leave it on for like 5-10 minutes. Honestly, sometimes I've left it on a really long time. So now we're gonna wash it off. I'm gonna use a rag to really make sure that I can get off the coconut oil, like the whole consistency. So this was my last step. I had so much acne and I did so many things to my face to try and get rid of it that now I don't really wash my face in the morning. I only wash it before bed. I'll wipe it down and clean it, but I don't do a full this every morning, just at night. I think that the more that we try with our skin, just pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to get something to work, the body is also like, sometimes it's too much. It's too much of a lot of things, and the skin, it can't concentrate and relax. So I don't like to douse my face in anything too heavy, so I don't really put on moisturizer. Well, thank you for watching my skincare routine. I hope you guys liked it and maybe think about going a little bit more all natural once in a while. Bye-bye.
Okay, how would you rate that skincare routine?
I think it's me personally, would I follow that routine? No, it's kind of a more holistic routine, and I'm not against holistic medicine, but I think a lot of things that she was talking about doesn't really equate to kind of regenerating the skin again. But again, she's younger. She has much better skin to begin with, so there's less you actually have to do. So you don't have to go through a whole regimen and do all these things, but you also heard her mention that she does do microneedling, right? So a lot of times even doing microneedling periodically can have longer lasting effects, right? So whether you do this routine or not, but you did the microneedling, you still may have gains, proportional to where she is at now. Does that make sense? Where you don't have to do all these crazy other things, right? But again, it's about preventative medicine, and that's where everything is going now. So she's like, oh, you can take a minimalistic approach and do all this, instead of, bombarding your skin with a lot of things. To a certain extent, I do agree. But to a certain extent too, you don't know what your skin's gonna be like in 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. So it's kind of like back in the day when people didn't use sunscreen, right? Or people used like Crisco, or used like baby oil to tan, because it's like, wow, it looks great, right? And then 20 or 30 years later, they have all these sunspots, and some have these different cancers and things like that. So a lot of it has kind of geared towards kind of preventing things from happening. And I think, someone in their youth, it's not a bad place to start, in moderation, of course, but to be able to implement things that are true and tried and scientifically and clinically backed, right? Whether it be conventional thing or organic or all natural thing, do whatever works for you, and do whatever where the science and the data backs that. So that'd be my recommendation, my advice.
Are you able to do microneedling on live acne?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Is it gonna
Yeah. So I mean, you have to think of acne. So you have. You can have like old scarring acne, right? Or you could have kind of active cystic acne, right? There's always been a big debate. It's like, oh, if you go over cystic acne and you go somewhere else, you're gonna spread it. I've never actually seen acne spread that way. What you're actually doing is you're just releasing a lot of acne, because you have to realize that some of the most common forms of acne, it's anaerobic, so it likes to live down kind of underneath the skin, right? So some of my patients who have a lot of breakouts, or they're prone to breakouts, after you actually microneedle them, they'll break out. And I tell them that because that acne is there, it needs to come out anyways. When you expose it to the oxygen in the air, they just kind of come out and they bloom out. And that's what you want it to do, because if they fester down in the deeper layers and they never come out, that can cause actual scarring. It can actually cause retraction of your skin to kind of come down and give you that lumpy bumpy, especially kind of around the mouth and the chin area. That's where we see it a lot. So that's where you really have to be aggressive with microneedling or some energy-based device to help kill that acne and bring it out.
And I'm kind of curious, since she said she had really bad acne and tried a lot of different like methods to get rid of it, what do you think like those methods would be?
It's hard to say what methods she's used, right? But I think it really comes down to a lot of things. One is coming up with a good routine, right? Having a good cleanser and a good moisturizer, something that's not going to occlude your pores, right? And then two is also just, you are what you eat, right? So, a lot of times people are prone to acne if they eat certain foods, certain sweets, chocolate, things like that, junk food, right? We all see that and we go through those periods of time. So if you can clean up your diet in a sense where you're eating much better, combine that with a good skincare routine, that's gonna help set you up or pave your way to success. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Jin, and if you enjoyed this session, go ahead and smash that like button.
Super.